Welcome to Keep It Humane, the podcast,
where we talk about animal control, shelters, and animal welfare, and the people doing the work.
with your hosts,
Ashley Bishop.
And sometimes Ashley Bishop.
and Daniel Ettinger, helping people help animals. Well, it is just the two of us again. Ashley, Wisconsin Bishop is, you know where she is today?
Where?
She is making molds for those neck things, the braces. You know, like if someone has an injury to the neck, they have to wear the neck braces. She's making those molds in a factory in Bloomington, Illinois. She told me she had to drive down there this morning to make that work out. So shout out to Ashley,
Jesus Christ, dude.
Wisconsin Bishop. For those of you that don't know, she works. She truly does work at a shelter every other Sunday. So that's why she's here one week and not the next. But there are technically two Ashley Bishops. Unless you only listen every other week, then there's only one Ashley Bishop. Speaking
Again,
of which,
to make it clear, Texas Bishop and Wisconsin Bishop. Or
Speaking of
Lee
which-
and Lay.
yeah, that's how we do it in the text chain. How are you, by the way?
Good, man. It was a busy week last week, but it's good. The weather, again, I'm going to bitch about the weather in Texas because it's crazy. It's like 100 degrees. Dan's over here like, it's 74 degrees over here and it's hot. I'm like, shut up. No, it's
It
not.
was. Yeah, it was. It was sunny. It was sunny.
But no, it's been like raining off and on. So it's a good thing because then that means hurricane season. Generally, when it rains this much at the beginning of the season, it's not as rough. But shouts out to all the coasts because, June 2nd is when hurricane season starts. So if you're not prepared for it, please be prepared for it because you just never know. You absolutely never know. But it's been a little bit cooler. So hopefully that goes in our favor. But no, we're good. We're good. Just getting ready for that hot season. It's I've talked about it before. Our dog hall is not climate controlled, so it's damn hot back there right now. But everybody's doing well, and we're just rocking and rolling, waiting for the new facility.
Can't wait. When's
know.
groundbreaking? Do you have a groundbreaking day?
I don't know, man.
Okay.
I just got this long list of the last planning session that we had, and I was like reading over it, and I'm like, oh God, I just it's so overwhelming because I know the space that we need, but in my mind, I'm like, I don't know if we have the money for all of that space. So we'll see what happens. How are you?
You know, I'm good. I just been kind of kicking it with the kiddo. School's out, so we've been having a lot of fun, and yeah, just continuing to work on all the projects that I've been working on. I'd be remiss, especially this episode, if I didn't plug our stickers. So make sure you're going to the website, keepithumane.com/cat2. That's correct. Cat2, not tattoo. For those of you that don't know that are listening for the first time, there was a accidental tattoo started, and it's been a great way to really, I would say, promote spay neuter for our cats, whether they're feral, whether they're hoarders, from a hoarder situation, or it's just your cat that lives in your house and sleeps on your bed. So make sure you get the stickers. I'm gonna get the addresses of our guests today so they can get some stickers because they definitely need those for the work that they do. So you'll want to stay tuned for this episode for that, and then also the Certified Animal Control Professional program is live. Module 1 is booming. I don't know if that's what they say, but that's what I'm going to say. So that's live. We've got
It is. I think you're the talk of the town right now, man. I think there's a lot of people. I know it came up in the Taka stuff. So most definitely, I think everybody needs to check it out because it's very different. It's a lot different than what we're normally seeing, and I think it puts it more to boots on the ground than anything else. So kudos to Dan.
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun. I've got a few people already. I've got somebody already completed the whole thing, which is cool. And then I've been working on module 2, so you can check that out as well at Keep It Humane. Check all of our all of our socials. Whew, words are hard today, and that's just Keep It Humane. Pretty easy to find. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Just keeping busy with that. Looking forward to some travel this fall. Got some cool conferences in the works. We'll be in Georgia, be in Tennessee. Yes, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville. And then New York. New York's having their first animal control conference in forever, it sounds like. So that's going to be in Albany coming up in the early fall. So check back on that. That'll be some cool stuff. You can probably see it on our social medias. as well.
On a quick segue about Georgia, I don't know if everybody's seen. If you haven't, check it out. There was a dog that tested positive for rabies out of Dallas, Georgia, over the week. So, shouts out to all our brothers and sisters, boots on the ground. I'm sure it's a lot of planning and everything going on for something like that. So, prayers for y'all, and hopefully, all you get on the other side.
Yeah, it's nothing to play with. And
Yeah,
I mean, even so, as we kind of roll into our next guest, I mean, even in the feral cat community or the cat community, I mean, rabies is a thing, and so we have to be safe with the people doing that work and just the animals themselves. So we never want to take any of that for granted.
for sure.
Fun little story is, my dog was he was rescued around the same time we rescued a cat that so they grew up together in their early like formative first year and a half year or so. And so anytime he sees a cat outside, he's like, "What's up, fam? Like, I know we part of the same group." And the cat's like, "I don't know you.
Absolutely
Like, I
not.
don't know why you're trying to come
Poor
over here."
mood.
He's like, "I just want to say hi. Like, what's happening? Like, how are things in the streets?" And the cat's like, "If you don't get the F away from me right now," it's pretty funny to watch. I feel bad. I need to get him another cat, but maybe someday. So anyway, speaking of cats, let's do this. Let's bring in our cool guest. This is going to be one of my favorite episodes to date, just because this is like we have like a group, we have a gang, because more than two is a gang or three is a gang, something like that. So we have a gang of folks from the Feral Fixers TNR Club, and we're just really happy to have all of you today just to be part of this program and talk about all the amazing work that you're doing. So I'll just kind of turn over the mic so the three of you can jump in and introduce yourselves.
Yeah. Well, I'll start. So yes, we're Feral Fixers TNR Club. My name is Jen. We actually just celebrated 2 years, so we're Jersey City based. We do a lot of TNR. That was the original intention. We have found, and I think all the groups in Jersey City are finding increasing numbers, concerning numbers of friendly cats on the street. So we also have taken on a rescue component, but we can get into that. But yeah, we've been around for a couple of years. Primary focus is TNR, but again, have been doing some rescue too. So I'll let Kat introduce herself. I see her next, so I'll
Wait,
throw it
wait,
to
wait,
you.
wait, wait. You have a
Yeah,
cat working with.
we have a
My
we
name is
do.
Catherine, but I go by Cat.
Was
Yes.
that intentional?
I love it.
No, I've been going by Cat since I was a child, but I also have a picture of me double fisting black kittens as a 5-year-old. So,
Hell yeah.
You're like, these are mine.
Yeah. Yeah, so thanks, Jen. We do primarily do TNR, but as Jen mentioned, we have increasingly been doing rescue just because there are so many friendly cats found on the street. And again, we can get into the reasons why we think that might be. But lack of resources primarily is the biggest issue, and income disparity probably being another one. I try not to point the finger and blame people for dumping cats. I think I try to approach this with compassion as much as possible, which I know frustrates a lot of people. People really want to be angry and outraged. And I think, we just have to recognize that nobody really wants to do bad things. Nobody wants to abandon their animals. And there's just really so few resources out there, which is
Yeah.
why we wanted to form a nonprofit to be able to fundraise and help and provide
Yeah.
support for the community.
I think
Um,
especially knowing, the services or lack thereof that we have in this area, you have to have some compassion for folks because there really just is such a limited I mean, there's really, we were talking about this the other day, and there really, unless you have, your own private car and time, there's really nothing here that's accessible yet. And hopefully that is changing. But there's really nothing accessible for folks to, get their cats spayed and neutered at an affordable cost in Jersey City or
yeah.
even close by.
And we all kind of, I think, stumbled into this, at least for myself. I moved into the neighborhood, and as an animal lover, I'd never really lived in an area with this many feral cats. Obviously, if there aren't as many dogs here, their dog abandonment is a problem, but feral cats are really the biggest issue here in Jersey City. And so, I moved in and sort of found kittens in my backyard and started reaching out to the existing groups because there has been for the last at least 25 years a pretty substantial rescue and TNR community. But I think, we wanted to organize a little bit more and be able to fundraise a little bit more effectively. Again, everybody's been doing a really great job, and there's a ton of really great groups here. But that's as one of them, we wanted to be able to, again, more effectively fundraise to kind of bring some help to the community. Some groups are more focused on, a more organized block by block approach, and we wanted to be able to be more reactive to citizens in need, which again, both are valid and really great approaches and needed. Um, so yeah, I saw kittens in my backyard, started reaching out to some of the established groups, and uh,
And what year
Like,
was
I guess
that,
I'll do it
Kat?
myself.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good point, Robin. Thank you. Because we all have full-time jobs.
Mm.
We're all office
Yeah.
workers primarily. And so this all started in 2020, which is
Oh,
when I
wow.
was working from home a lot. And we had just bought a house in 2019 in the Heights. And that's when I noticed that there were cats, but I was able to consistently feed them and, sort of, which is one of the best things to do to start a TNR plan. It's consistently feed the colony that you're working to trap.
Hmm.
And was able to, drive to the vet. I have a car. We had some resources that were doing, contactless drop-offs and maintaining their spay neuter programs, which was huge.
Mm.
Um, and and having the flexibility of working from home during the pandemic. Again, I know it was a difficult time for everybody, but that flexibility was key for me being able to get involved. Now going back to the office, it's been more challenging, but we now have the knowledge and the skills of we're trying to increase our volunteer network to
Yeah.
help us with driving, et cetera. But it's been, that was so important for me to be able to get started in this.
Very cool. And Robin,
Yeah,
welcome.
so I like to echo some things that Kat said. In 2021, I was home working. I was pregnant at the time. I saw feral cats on my corner. Kittens were born. I had my own meltdown about it, reached out to the community, and this great volunteer who'd been doing it for years in Jersey City came out with a trap and showed me how to use it and showed me how to go to the low-cost clinic that was open at the time, the most accessible clinic. And then I started fixing cats for neighbors and more neighbors, and it snowballed. And I met other people in the community. I think I met Kat in 2022 and then Jen 2023. And as this was going on, again, there's other sort of groups ad hoc that were doing this. There's individuals who have been doing this in Jersey City for decades. We really wanted to put a framework of having a legal nonprofit, both for trust to the community of being able to donate and being able to have a tax deductible donation, should they choose to give, and put some framework around it, some organization. I'm a project manager in my day job, so I always am focused on metrics, scheduling, numbers. I love that kind of information, and it has been really helpful to have all of that information, again, organized. I always like to look at our statistics, track our funds, see what's working, what might not be working, what has, good ROI, for lack of a better term, in this work, because otherwise it could be very chaotic. There's a huge feral cat
Yeah.
issue and cat abandonment issue in Jersey City.
It's still chaotic, even with the numbers and the metrics, it's still chaotic.
Yeah, you
You
don't
never know
know.
what you just never know what you're going to wind up with and what you're dealing with. I mean, today is a prime example. We've already had a crazy day. We had, a cat who unfortunately was, had to be humanely euthanized, and he was doing well, but he had tested positive for FELV. Something happened and he took a really hard turn overnight. And so this morning already they were at the emergency vet, then I'm running to the space to take care of everyone else, so even as much as you can plan, it's animals, and it's, you don't know the history, you don't know the health, and things happen. And you just have to, take it day by day.
So is there a brick and mortar for your
Mm.
services? Like, do you have, I guess, foster based, or is there like a shelter?
We're primarily foster based for the friendly cats that come in, but we do have a holding space for TNR, which at this point is a private residence.
Okay.
We have a really, really lovely volunteer who has a full-sized basement in a large Victorian home and allows us to hold our cats there. So it's pretty limited in space, but
Yeah,
um,
we primarily try to use this for, holding pre and post surgery for TNR cats, which is great for that. But, we also have a few crates if cats need, we've held cats who are feral that need like medical rehabilitation, or, just as a temporary landing spot and
A
having
quarantine
space.
area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even though it's not, it's not a space that's available to the public, but just having that physical space that's not our own homes where we really wouldn't be able to, bring this volume of cats in and out, is like critical. We couldn't do what we do without having some place to hold these cats, even, for the temporary time.
Yeah. And the crux of all of this work is that kind of level of donation. I mean, to have access
Yeah.
to that
Hmm.
space, we wouldn't be able to do that without that. So it was really leaning on volunteers, and everybody who contributes is a volunteer. Nobody is paid for their time. We give the use of our cars as well, um, to this. And then, if we are looking back at our budget, like for last year, we operated on $23,000, mostly from small
Wow.
donations.
Jeez.
And about 75% of that went to vet costs, spay,
Hmm.
neuter, medicines, right? A friendly cat, of course, is getting a SNAP test,
Hmm.
vaccines. Every once in a while, we have an emergency or a more complicated, and I shouldn't say every once in a while, like kind of too commonly,
Yeah, yeah.
somebody, a cat that really needs something at the next level of
Like we
medical
have a cat
care.
now who needs like entropion surgery on one eye, so we're holding him. He's
Yeah.
Interesting.
feral.
we have a
Yeah.
Um,
kitten in foster
we
now who needs an
have
eye removal.
hi.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, and this kitten, Hubcap, he needs an eye enucleation. So, it's just
hubcap.
like some are friendly, some are
Yes.
feral. But we don't want to put this feral guy out there with this eye, issue that's going to be bothering him forever. So we're holding him until we can, you know, raise the money to get the surgery and put him back. He has a great caretaker. There's multiple people on this block that feed, he has a good home, but like we can't in good conscience, have this cat who we know this is like something that is really irritating and he's suffering, put him out there without dealing with it. So,
Yeah.
it's just one of those things you never quite know what's
But
gonna,
he was
what's gonna
brought in
happen.
for TNR, and he
Yeah.
did get end and vaccinated.
Mm.
And the vet clinic very kindly took a look at his eye and then came back with this report. So now we've are trying to assist him and not release him with this condition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
even with friendly cats, we've had a number of cats that need like, a number of like dental extractions, and so like working with, figuring out who's covering that, working with adopters, working with, lower cost vets, there's just a lot of moving parts. And it does seem that it's like maybe not one out of every two cats, but it definitely feels like it's a significant number of cats that need something beyond just the standard vetting. Um, that that has come up that we always want to take care of as best we can.
I
And
think
I think
there's,
this is
oh,
one of, oh, sorry, go ahead,
no,
Ashley.
go ahead, Kat. No, absolutely.
I was gonna say, I think this is one of the many reasons that we find so many friendly cats abandoned is the lack of low-cost veterinary services. We have one clinic called People for Animals. The
Hmm.
closest one to us is located in Hillside, but there are several throughout New Jersey that offer very limited low-cost resources. For example, you can do a walk-in TNR for a little
Hmm.
over $100 any day. One person can bring one cat in a trap and do a walk-in. And then our local shelter works directly with the groups. But again, that's very limited to just TNR services.
Yeah.
And outside of that, you're really looking at a private vet that we sort of cobble together a few other resources. I think there's a clinic up in Twin Oaks that we
Yeah, we have
utilize that only
they
works with
work at,
shelters.
yeah, they now just work with shelters and rescues, so that's lower cost, which has been great because like, they do tend to have more availability. That's the other thing, like with, People for Animals, for example, like people can bring their private pet there, but the wait list, I mean, it's so long. It's so far out that they're booked to even get, an animal in. Is just, yeah, it really is just a
And they
lack of,
they stopped doing
availability.
dental. the other year
Oh,
too.
I didn't know that they had even
Yeah.
ever done it in the first
They
place.
used
Okay.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, and then stopped. And so, like, that's always this sort of like, ugh, let's call this cast of characters on our list and see who's available for dental. What's the cost like? What's the
Yeah.
fundraising amount? What is the situation? There's always, and again, that's not really public accessible. That is because we are a nonprofit already in there
Hmm.
with an
Right.
account with
In this
them.
space, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it just it heightens the need of the animals that we find because a lot of times, aside from people being, evicted or for some other reason losing their homes, and a lot of the new, buildings not either not taking animals or taking different, small animals, makes it really difficult to find low cost housing that accepts pets. So, if
Yeah.
you can't afford the vet care and or you're losing your home, again, I just try to be really compassionate to the circumstances that find these animals outdoors, although it is horrible and it's really sad, and it
Yeah.
does, put a lot onto us, and it does tend to make the animals that we find more needy as a
For
result.
sure. I think so.
Yeah.
There are two things I want to talk about that you guys have mentioned. One is that we are finding a lot more friendly cats out in the wilderness, and two, that that there's been an initiative of 25 years, to do TNR in y'all's area and things like that. Why are we still seeing this as an issue in y'all's opinion?
I
I
think
would
there's a lot
say,
of COVID fallout. Yeah, there was a really drastic reduction in services for co during COVID, and we all know how things can snowball. So I do think that we're still, 6 years later, or however you want to look at it, still feeling the impacts of there essentially being, almost a year halt on, or a year of drastically reduced services. I think is one of the, is definitely a contributing factor.
And there
yeah,
has been improvement in Jersey
Okay.
Yeah.
City in some neighborhoods. Jersey
Okay.
City also is incredibly large,
Sure.
and has very diverse socioeconomic,
Hmm.
and cultural backgrounds, country of origin. So it's really mirrors, I would say, most closely New York City in that
Hmm.
regard, and it's very urban. There have been pockets that where I know that TNR, that was effectively like launched 10 years ago, made a huge difference. And there's a bit of that still in my neighborhood. And of course, my block is perfect because
Yeah.
I'm out
I mean,
there
in
every minute. There's a new cat, but
downtown,
it
yeah.
ties
but
to
you
it
also
ties
live,
to the economy. It ties to the
Hmm.
yeah,
economy.
and you live,
Um,
Robin, near a known colony, so there is a lot of dumping that
Well, we're
happens there
down to
too.
two. We're
Oh,
down to
good.
two. Yeah, from 20 something when I moved in. So, hopefully that's curbing the abandonment, the dumping, magnet that my block
Yeah.
was. Um, but I mean, it's the economy. I mean, when we are out and people approach us about cats, it's like, where can I get my cat fixed? Or I
Mhm.
don't have a car. So almost 40% of people who live in Jersey City don't have cars. We're incredibly close
Hmm.
to New York City, and people take public transit
Public
there every
transit.
day. Or people are taking public transit to within Jersey City or another nearby town for work.
Hmm.
Um, there is no low cost spay neuter for pets right now as of today
Wow.
in Jersey City.
That's
So it's like to
crazy.
figure out getting transportation, to
Yeah.
get the appointment, to be there at 7 a.m. drop off, right? Some of
Yeah.
the what some of the low
Yeah.
cost
Well,
clinics are.
and
Yeah.
and to your point, Robin, about how effective the existing TNR has been, you look to our sister cities like Bayonne. So Hudson County has several municipalities in it, and every municipality, technically under state law, is responsible for sheltering uh, oh gosh, sheltering
Animal
and
control.
animal control services. Thank you.
Gotcha.
And so most of the municipalities around us contract their animal control services, but they don't have a shelter. We are the only shelter in Hudson County,
Mm.
and we can see when you look at cities like Bayonne how unchecked cat breeding, impacts that area. Like we get calls from Bayonne sometimes, and
Yeah.
honestly, I often have to turn them down just because we are overwhelmed with the volume in Jersey City. And
Yeah.
I mean, there are some groups that are addressing it, but they don't have a shelter, they don't have a TNR program. They're really, really limited, and the cat colonies are out of control.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
to your
Jersey
point,
City, yeah, is large too. It's like it's a big city. I think like, it's I was just looking, it's like over 20 square miles and it's densely pop all of it. Every single
Hmm.
most inch is densely populated, house to house to house touching. So I think it's just a matter of how many cats there are, and there are neighborhoods that are better. Like I live downtown, and there was a huge push, and I think somebody TNR like 1,000 cats downtown over the course of a couple of years a while back. And so it's pretty under control. We are starting to see a little bit more creep back up. But that was really the only neighborhood that like had sort of like this all-out blitz of TNR. Um, and all the other neighborhoods are like very residential and very, very populated.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What do you see or what do you do differently in the wintertime? So those of you that are listening, like in the South, where we don't have snow or where I live, I'm being serious because like a lot of people just don't. I know I'm joking a little bit, but like a lot of people don't have that element and they don't have to worry
Mhm.
about that. So like,
Yeah.
are you working on like feral boxes? Do you just see a dip
Mhm.
in numbers? Like, what is it that you do differently to support the cats during the crazy wintertime?
Mm.
Well, we do, we have in the past helped with another group who does a large winter shelter making and distribution
Hmm.
activity. It is requires a shocking amount of space, physical space,
Yeah.
because the, the bins themselves
Right.
are quite large. So we don't have the physical space to store them, but we have, we are supportive of our. It's a perfect JC here in Jersey City if anybody's looking for winter shelters at the time, and they do sell them as a fundraising activity, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I wish, if and when we do get the space, I would love to distribute them more, but we, can point people to resources on
Yeah.
making their own
Winter
winter
shelters,
shelters.
and maintaining, knowing people who have winter shelters, providing them with, more straw and, just making sure that they're prepared for the winter, and maintained. But I mean, when it comes to trapping, funny enough, the thing that is like I think the biggest challenge in the winter, cats are hungry in the winter, and we
Mm,
haven't had any issue trapping. The issue we have is like thinking about like keeping the bait warm, like keeping like our fried chicken or like, whatever it is, like keeping
mm,
this hot so it doesn't just like freeze immediately because
Yeah.
we've gone trapping in really, really cold weather. So
Mm.
like then you have
Yeah.
to plan, okay, we need to get something really hot. We need a thermos. We need something insulated. Yeah.
I need a better thermos. The two I've tried just don't keep it like it immediately just is
Yeah.
cold even when I open it. So if anybody wants to
Yeah.
influence me into some sort of thermos brand, that would be great.
Yeah.
I love winter trapping because again, the cats are hungry. It is actually not harder. I mean, you got to be safe yourself, right?
Yeah.
Have your hand warmers and your heated vest or whatever tech you want to have.
Kudos to
And
y'all.
then
I
Oh.
we
know, I
get
know, I know.
a
It's
lot
I
of
have had, yeah, your toes start to go numb. You're like
yeah.
Oh,
they're just
We
like
yeah.
get a lot of
shivering.
pregnant cats like in
Mm,
Yeah. That makes
February,
sense.
and then I feel so like, oh my gosh, we do support spay abort, as do the clinics that we work with, and you're just like, oh, okay, we just saved a
Yeah.
tsunami,
I mean, those
on
kittens
this
were gonna
block.
die. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and
We have
that's the
a
thing, we
kitten
don't.
season, but only because they don't survive the winter, you
Yeah,
know.
so
Right.
you can focus more on TNR in the winter because you aren't bogged down to some aspect like rescuing kittens because the kittens don't survive if
Yeah.
they are
Mm.
We
born.
have,
Yeah.
we have a partner, a shelter partner who has, they'll take friendly cats from us because we do direct, foster and adoption. But we also try to partner with other rescues just due to the volume. And I think I emailed them the other day, and off the top of my head, I know between our group and another like 15 kittens that are like ready to go that we just have. And this isn't, our shelter is full, so we don't even, for the most part, often full. So we don't even, that's like a last resort to ask them because I know that they have their own problems. So like if we can funnel them to other groups. So like, right, I mean, in 15 right now, actually, I just got a text from a feeder that they brought a cat inside who has, three or four, 1 week old kittens. So like we have that coming down the pipeline, so just about every day there's someone reaching out with another litter or a medical problem or, whatever it is.
How involved are you guys in education? Because I feel for, me being in the South, we see a lot of problems that y'all are seeing. But I think on the other side of things is, a lot of people don't want community cats in their area. So how do y'all provide that education and things like that to the community who may not want it, or somebody who just doesn't know, what TNR is and what it involves?
Interestingly, we see both sides of things. We see people who
Okay.
don't want cats, but we also see
Hmm.
people who really defend the cats because they
Mhm.
Hmm.
feel that they're rodent protection.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we're working on both sides of that. Don't fix the cats because we don't want them to go away, and also get these cats
Mm.
out of my yard because they're, you know, using it as a litter box.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And people who really care about them and feed them and want to help them and try to build colony shelters and things like that. So yeah, we are really trying to focus on education. I would say that's one of the things I want to do better. We've talked a lot about getting, better materials or leveraging other materials to educate people. But one of the main things I do when I go into a block is work on building relationships with the folks on that block, explaining to them why I'm there and what I'm doing and why TNR is helpful and, and doing that education. So
I mean, and I tell people, it's like, look, whether you like the cats or don't like the cats, this is good either way, right? Like, if you like the cats, they're going to lead a healthier life. They're going to be happier. If you don't like them, then this is going to help control the population. So, I mean, there's really, I mean, no downside to TNR, except, Catherine, to your point, like if they want the cats to keep populating for quote unquote rodent protection. But for the most part, I think people have been really receptive to it. There are some people who just I guess, morally don't want to fix cats, like don't believe
Hmm.
in, spaying
Sure.
and neutering. And there have been people who get really upset. And then, certainly with spay abort, people get upset about that.
Hmm.
But, you just have to kind of navigate those on a case by case, or you just trap the cat and do what's
yeah.
best for it.
Thankfully, because
Um,
this is such a dense residential city and the laws here sort of favor, whoever's feeding the cats, you can usually find someone on the block who will work with you and who's
yeah.
supportive. And so we don't, trespass on people's property,
Yeah, we're
certainly,
not
but we can
in the
always
business
find
of
somebody.
taking anyone's cat or anything like that. Yeah, but I would say for the most part, like it's pretty few and far between. And people who do, if they see us trapping, and people who do get upset or combative about it, most of the time, almost all of the time, if you kind of explain what you're doing and how this is beneficial, then they come around to it and they're supportive.
People
It's still
who,
pretty rare that people
yeah,
are upset and remain upset.
people who hate cats on their block are sometimes like my biggest ally on the block,
Yeah,
which is like, let me explain what I'm doing and how this will be less
yeah.
cats, especially if we do have the opportunity to remove a super, super friendly, already socialized cat
Mhm.
into a rescue scenario. Um, so it really just depends on the audience of who you're talking to, but that education moment of how it works, what we do, why it can be beneficial is pretty much always possible. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
And
And
the
I
loudest
love
critics are usually the least they don't have the most resolve. They
the
usually go away
Yeah,
pretty
they
quickly.
tend, yeah.
the I
This
just
is
want to
also true.
I want to jump in here because I think it's a great segue into something that it's not, I don't have data or science to back this, and I don't bring it up just to put a thorn in the side of all the great work that you're doing or other TNR programs are doing because there's a ton out there, and I think the work is amazing. Like I truly support it. I also look at things from like a well, maybe this is just the cynicism of like my and I don't
Big animal control.
big, yeah, like big like compassion fatigue, been in this industry.
Yeah.
But have you ever thought like I don't want to discourage the work, so I need to choose this next
I
step.
hear what you're saying, and I think I
Mhm.
understand where you're going with it. And
Have you ever
Mm.
thought that like in 100 years from now, feral cats will just be the same as raccoons and skunks? Like
so
that we tried our best. And what works is like we're seeing it work in the small communities, but we don't have the resources to go everywhere. So does at some point, because like okay, Jersey City is fine, but that doesn't mean Piscataway, is that how you say that? Pisca-
Yeah.
See, it's got cat in there. That's over there in New
Yeah.
Jersey, Piscataway. Um, like, who's to say that they got the services they needed? And now the vacuum effect or Darwin's theory of natural selection, since we pulled out cats in Jersey City. Now the ones are coming in from other areas. And it's almost like we can't control the flood is what I'm trying to
So,
say here. And
Oh,
so
we
then
can't. And I don't think that anyone is like doing this because we think that we're going to get to an end point where things are under
so
control,
then
at least not
then
anytime
yeah,
soon.
then Jen, my question is this though, is specifically in 100 years from now, will cats be the same as raccoons and
Well,
skunks?
No.
I'm gonna go. I think 100 years from now, they will have actually maybe developed like an oral treatment to,
Spay or neuter?
not requires
Sterilization.
for
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
sterilization,
yeah,
right? That is being worked on. So that's
yeah.
a little too far in advance. But
Yeah.
I think that like, I don't feel this is futile because I live here.
Got it.
Right.
And I see
Mhm.
progress blocks to blocks that I work on. I see the help that I give to people too,
Okay.
right?
Yeah,
That are
yeah.
like
Mhm.
suffering on their block, these like blighted areas that have 30 cats running around. Like, these areas need services, and there is positive and immediate impact. Can I control 10 generations from now? No. Can I control even Bayonne, like 2 miles away? I cannot.
Hmm.
So I think it's about like, this is our community and we believe in this help here and now. And I do think it's solvable here and now with the right amount of resources and education and awareness, and hopefully some more city support as well.
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
well
I don't
said.
think,
And
we're not gonna, I don't know if like, it certainly doesn't seem like having, the feral cat population in Jersey City totally under control, whatever that looks like, is, happening anytime in the near future. However, I do see from living downtown, I know that there had been a much larger issue and there was a very large push, and we see significantly fewer feral cats, in this neighborhood than we do in other neighborhoods. So I do think that having some amount of, uh, change is possible. But it is, it's a huge problem, but just because it's a huge problem doesn't mean that you don't start somewhere.
Sure.
Hoboken also doesn't have a lot of feral cats, almost none, and that just speaks to the what money can do in a
Hmm.
neighborhood, right? It's the wealth disparity. The worst off neighborhoods are the poorest neighborhoods,
Hmm.
being perfectly blunt. And the reason I do this is the people, right, into our community, which is exactly what you were saying, Robin. Like I tell people all the time, people say to me, like, this is futile, you'll never fix this problem. And I say, that's fine. I can help one
Right, but you fix it
person.
for that person, and you fix it for
Yeah,
that cat.
yeah,
That
I
makes
can
a
help
difference.
someone who's begging for
We're up
help and
to
nobody will help them.
our stats sheet. We're up to, 95 cats so far this year. It's June. So that made a difference for those 95 cats that either got adopted or TNR'd and vaccinated. There's certainly much more than many more than 95 where those 95 came
Yeah.
from, but it's something.
So
And
what if you could
and one
have
of
a
the
magic,
reasons,
I was just going to ask
sorry.
if you could have a magic wand, if you could say like this is going to help us immensely as our group, like what would you ask for right now if I could just like grant that specific wish?
24
Well,
hours
a
spay neuter.
funded,
Yeah.
yeah, funded low cost vet clinic would be incredible.
Yeah.
Um,
Unlimited appointments, enough money that, or,
yeah.
more people. I think so. It's, twofold. It's, it's the time. So more people knowing how to trap TNR, understanding what it is, being able to do it, do it themselves without relying on another group. Being able to take that agency upon themselves to do it, and appointments, and then having appointments to actually get these cats fixed.
Yeah.
I,
And
I
then
think
the support, the preventative support for people with pets, because I do think that
Yeah.
every feral colony probably descends some however many years ago from two friendly cats that got put outside unfixed.
Mm.
And people either maybe don't have the education about the importance of spay neuter, but also, that access. That was really the most surprising thing is like, wait a minute, how many friendly cats are out here?
Mm.
Fully running up to fully
A lot.
socialized, fully adoptable, so excited to be inside.
Yep.
And the vast majority of those are unfixed. We are not finding fixed cat. Every once in a while we do. We are not finding fixed and
And
friendlies for
I
rescue.
do want
Yeah.
to kind of go back a little bit to your earlier question, Daniel. We were talking about rabies at the beginning, and
Mm.
Mhm.
Hmm.
we have had at least two cats test positive for rabies here.
Ugh.
And I don't think that municipalities can afford to let their feral cat populations run rampant
Hmm.
because they reproduce so quickly, and
Hmm.
they really are not as well managed as something like a raccoon. It's really dangerous to let these cats breed unchecked. So I should have mentioned that earlier, but I don't think it's wise for cities to leave this problem unattended. Um,
That's a good point.
we
Yeah.
both, at least two out of three of us are vaccinated
On
against
a
rabies.
side note, I am the proud new owner of rabies vaccine number 4. I was bitten a few weeks ago by a cat who subsequently died. Of rabies, we don't know. But I went to the ER, and
Yeah, you can't take
it's also kind of
chances. You just can't
no.
take chances with that.
No, it's kind of difficult from what I heard. I actually never attempted to do it, but from what I've heard, it can be difficult to get, a doctor to just do to give you the rabies series.
Mm.
I've heard people
It's
having to
expensive.
like
I
It's
wouldn't say,
expensive.
yeah,
I think that's the
expensive.
biggest challenge. It's very
yeah,
Yeah,
expensive.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But in our
and even
profession, it's pretty common and pretty easy to obtain. It's just
yeah.
you have to be able to articulate, I
Ye-
guess, the why.
Yeah. And I think because I was talking with my doctor about this, and because I'm not, this is a nonprofit, I'm not
Sure.
technically employed, my insurance or my other job probably wouldn't cover it. At any rate, I was bitten, and so, I did the,
Post
post-exposure
exposure.
series, and so I'm happy to have done that. And I do think that in a year will, do prophylactically, preventatively do it again. It's just, we're dealing with so many cats, and it's actually it's the feral cats are not not the issue because we aren't,
You're not
putting
picking them up.
our
Yeah,
hands
you're not
and
able to get to
bodies
them. Yeah.
in close proximity. If you're doing it right, you shouldn't be getting bitten by a feral cat that you're TNRing. But the
Right.
friendly cats, and that's, creeping up on 50%, you never know. So yeah, so here we are. But yeah, two of the three. Robin, you gotta
Oh,
get on the rabies protocol.
Well,
yeah,
hopefully you don't get bit. We don't want anybody
yeah.
Yeah.
getting bit. And I just want to say, from a level of naivety, I've been Google mapping the streets of Jersey City for the last 20 minutes while we're chatting off and on because I want to find a feral cat, and I haven't seen one yet. So I don't believe that there's any out there.
You
Okay,
know what a
well,
I'm
fun
just kidding.
here's
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
We do hear
I'm
people say
just
that a lot. I haven't seen one. I'm
I'm
like,
just
they're
kidding
in
because
there
they
in your
hide.
backyard somewhere.
They
a
hide.
fun
They're under cars. They're you know what I mean. They're not. Yeah.
Yeah. A Google Map fun trick, and I did this like on my own block, is you can go historically and pull down old years.
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
That's where, and I did that on my own block. I drove around my own block and
That's
you
so
see
fun.
it. I think the earliest is like 2012 for Google Maps.
Okay.
There is
Yeah.
like a huge crowd of a feral and a feeder and
Oh,
everything
how
who
funny.
still feeds. It's my neighbor. Um, and really kind of see that. So it's like that's something I've done, which is like what's been going on this block the past 6 years, and then
Hmm.
and go back year by year by year.
So
And
fun.
sometimes I do get data that way.
We
Yeah.
have, I don't know if you can see this. I'm gonna hold my phone. So, and this is not even close to anything, but these are all, if you can see it,
Oh yeah, I saw the
colony.
little.
Oh,
Mm.
it won't focus. I'm gonna send you a
Mm.
screenshot, all colony feeders
Oh, there it
that
is. Oh, now it's
we
gone.
Uh,
Turn your
yeah,
blur up.
doesn't nope. Well, we tried. I can send you the screenshot though. I mean, these are just people that we've dealt with, personally, and it's not everyone that we've dealt with.
Sure.
But the map is just, and I know some other groups have mapped colonies of, I think Alex has easily over 200 colonies mapped on her list,
Wow.
of known people who these are colonies that are confirmed existing, being dealt with in some way, shape, or form, or acknowledged but not being dealt with.
Well, I want to say, like, I applaud the work that you're doing, and I
Hmm.
just wanted to ask that hard question earlier for perspective, and not to like make you think less of the work that you're doing because it's amazing work.
Hmm.
I know you hear it from people in the community or just can get discouraged easy, and I guess my response to that is don't like continue to do the work, continue to advocate for these uh, opportunities to bring in people that can provide low cost spay and neuter
Yeah.
services. I talk about it all the time. The Rascal Unit in Ohio,
Woohoo, Dr. G.
Dr. G does an amazing thing, and she hits these communities that you're talking about. We kind of partnered with Bissell Pet Foundation to help support our fundraiser for the Cat Tattoo Challenge. to raise money for spay neuter services specifically for that. So it is out there, and I wonder like what is it gonna take, I guess, to see how do we get it to a point? Maybe it's not going to be as frequent as you see an Amazon delivery truck in your neighborhood, but like, but why can't we have like why can't all big cities or every state have a mobile unit? Like, what is it going to take?
I was gonna say something earlier about
Yeah.
this because I feel like the reality is on that end of thing. If we think about vet med and shelter med, there's such a huge disconnect in what traditional veterinary medicine
Yeah.
is and how they think about things. And I think if they were put in the perspective of what you guys are doing, what I do on a daily basis in my municipal facility, I think they would understand that it would make them not have to, I don't want to say not have to work as hard, but if we all came together for public health and safety,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, we could bring down costs as a whole industry if we work together and understand. Because a couple of months ago, I got a customer that came in, a citizen that came in and said, well, the veterinarian I went to said that I need to come here to euthanize my dog because it's your job, not
Mm.
theirs. So again, that huge disconnect of the
Yeah.
reality of what everybody's doing. I think it's just that the vets don't really understand the side that we're seeing all the time. They're just seeing everything on the you know healthy end, I guess, per se. Not that they don't see tragic things, but
Yeah.
we're down in the dumps most of the time because there's only so much we can do. We're seeing an influx of things, and they don't see that every day. So I think it's a huge disconnect that they don't move. Not that they don't move faster, because I respect veterinarians so much. We have a great veterinarian in our town that works with us very well. I don't know. I just feel it's like the old school way of thinking where it's just like the shelter's the pound, so they do what they do and I do what I do, and that's it.
Mhm.
Right, right.
Well, I think, one of the things we do try to work really closely with our shelter,
Mhm.
and there have been marked improvements over the last 5 years in how Jersey City is approaching animal control and animal sheltering, but they're super constrained. They're constrained by
Yeah.
funding, they're constrained by the space. And, our shelter manager is incredible. And he also kind of refers to it as like mopping the ocean, there's
Yeah.
only so
Yeah,
much you can do,
that's a
but you
great
but
shirt.
Yeah. This is
what
exactly,
happens
yeah.
if we stop doing what we're doing? We're operating at max capacity,
Mhm.
and people already scoff and say, oh, well, now they're not doing anything. And it's like, what if we stopped? We would have completely unchecked breeding, no place
Mhm.
for any animals to go. We just have to keep putting one foot forward in front of the
Yeah.
other and advocating, right? Advocating to the county, advocating to the city, advocating to residents, educating. And I think, we called ourselves a club because we hope to encourage people to join us, right? And work with us. And it's really difficult when you're dealing with feral animals and you don't have, a
Mhm.
fully dedicated public space. But, we've only
Yeah.
been in operation 2 years, and ideally, like, I'd love that someday. And every year we're doing more than we did the last year. So that's all I can hope for is just increased,
Well, I want people to know where to
Y'all are
go.
so
goodness.
positive. I
Yeah,
love it.
we haven't
Try.
we haven't mentioned the website yet, so check out feralfixersclub.org, feralfixersclub.org, and donate. You can donate there. Definitely help out where you can. Follow them on all the socials. Are you more active on Instagram or Facebook? What's your platform of choice?
Instagram.
Instagram's our primary platform, Feral
Okay.
Fixers Club on
You could
Instagram.
see this is the young crowd. They're like, we're on IG. That's what the young kids say.
The medium age
Well, yeah,
crowd.
medium.
Yeah,
This is the
we're kind of
the
old.
elder
I'm over
millennials.
here like, where's your MySpace at? Like,
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I'm Gen X. I'm Gen X.
No,
okay.
no TikTok, no TikTok here. I'm a geriatric millennial.
That's so funny.
Same.
Well, before we
Clinging
wrap
to
up,
Instagram with my cold dead hands.
is there anything else you'd like to share, just so our listeners know the great work that you're doing?
Or anything
Any,
cool you got coming up?
yeah, any great stories of a feral or a TNR or a reunion to an owner that lost a pet? Something cool.
I mean, we are proud to brag about some grants we got this year. So being two
Cool.
years old really kind of puts you in a next echelon to like get noticed
Mhm.
by grants. So we got over $3,000 from Mission Meow. We spent about a third of it at our
Mission
friends
meow.
at Tomahawk Trap
Hey,
just
Woo!
Shout out to
recently.
Tomahawk.
I
Yeah.
used your
use
discount
discount code.
code. I
There it
used
is.
it.
There it is. Keep it
Just got it
humane.
delivered.
Yeah.
Just wanted to, hashtag Tomahawk Trap
We love
and Mission
Tomahawk.
Meow for
Yeah.
that support because we didn't have the capital to get new gear.
Mhm.
We had gear that we had already individually owned, borrowing stuff. Like it, that's really
Oh,
huge. So really
yeah.
appreciate Mission Meow for targeting small nonprofits,
That's
these
awesome.
Yeah.
grassroots types like us. And we are getting the matching United Spay Alliance TNR grant.
Oh,
So
that's
we
great.
are raising right now $2,000, all earmarked for TNR outdoor community cat spay, neuter, and vaccination. And then they will match us $2,000, which I believe will be successful with that. They'll
And
match us in the fall
you
to
could go
fund
to
even
our
more of that.
website for our donation page if you'd like to contribute to our matching
Yes.
donations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or contribute locally, right? Wherever you live, there is
Yeah.
maybe even not a nonprofit, maybe it's more ad hoc than that. But
Yeah.
people who are volunteering their own time
Yeah.
free to the community to get this done. But the medical and spay neuter is not free.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
all have full-time jobs, and Robin's a mom. We could not do this without each other, and we could not do this without our community of rescues and other ad hoc TNR folks. And building community is so important. So yeah, taking that first step, even if you like, even Michelle
Mhm.
was somebody who helped us. We helped her trap, and she's been helping us, set up some stuff like this for exposure. Shout out to her.
Yeah.
Everybody can do a little bit of something, even if it's like helping put a graphic together, an infographic together on education of resources. We
Mhm.
can use help, and anyone can help anywhere, even if you don't want to trap or touch feral cats. There's something you can do to help your community out.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to come on. We're big supporters of this stuff, and I think it's important to know that like it can be people like you that have full-time jobs that contribute time, your spare time, almost a hobby in a sense, to run around and chase feral cats. So I think that that's fun. Um,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I've,
You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it all. You just have to do one thing.
Yeah, for sure, and we appreciate that. We want to make sure that we highlight the great work that you're doing, and hopefully continue to get the support that you need. And over time, maybe you start working on some legislation in the area. It
Mm.
expands, and then you can provide even more resources. Because as you mentioned, like it really does hit these underserved communities a lot, and it's like, well, why can't we get the help that we need? And it's like, it's kind of just this imbalance, if you will. So
Yeah.
thank you for getting into those communities and doing that work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cats can't advocate for themselves, so we need to advocate for them. And that's what makes change in democracy, right? Participation and advocacy. And
Sure.
that's what everybody needs to do. And if you can't do it, get together with a group in your area who can help amplify your voice.
Absolutely. Well, great. Like we like to say as we wrap up, we like to continue to help people
Help animals.
and
Keep it humane, mate.